Hello all, welcome to the new Simply Put series by Kalamai's Academy. This is Priyanka Mahapatra, faculty at Kalamai's. So today we'll be having a discussion on the newspaper dated 3rd of February 2024. So today we have no text and the context section of the Hindu newspaper. Coming to the explain section of the Indian Express newspaper, some articles were important from our exam point of view. First is regarding the multidimensional poverty, and second is that why Zuckerberg said sorry to the young social media users' parents. Okay, and then we would be also discussing an anecdote for essay writing about the Punjab's drone Didis. So these are the three articles that we are going to discuss today, which is displayed on your screen. So the first article is about the multidimensional poverty meaning and numbers. So why this is in news? Because in the recent interim budget speech, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that 25 crore Indians had been pulled out of poverty over the past decade. And this is in line with the government's vision of Sabka Saath in these 10 years. So here comes the importance of understanding the MPI in all details. So this becomes very important from your prelims point of view. So let's now understand what is MPI. So there are two versions of MPI, global MPI and the national MPI. So the global MPI, that is Multidimensional Poverty Index 2023, has been released by UNDP and Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, OPHI, and this index is been used by UNDP in its flagship report, that is Human Development Report, since 2010. Right? So what indicators does it take? So here we have to understand that traditionally poverty is calculated based either on income levels, and if the income data is not available, then it is taking into account the expenditure levels. Thus, the so-called poverty lines, they are actually the expenditure levels mostly that are considered minimum enough for someone to be called poor. So traditionally, it is the income levels or the expenditure levels that are considered for calling someone poor. But the multidimensional poverty index, the MPI, approaches poverty very differently. Differently in the sense that it takes into account the three dimensions of poverty which directly affects a person's well-being and life. It measures the interlinked deprivation in the health, in the education and living standards, which is directly affecting a person's life and well-being. It is based on the Alkire-Foster methodology, where it takes into account the health, education and living standards, and they are given equal weightage. As you can see, they are given weightage of 1/3 each. And again, the three dimensions of poverty are categorized into 10 indicators, as you can see. Under health, the nutrition is taken into account, the child mortality is taken into account. Under education, the years of schooling and school attendance is taken into account. And under the living standards, the cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing, and assets are taken into account. Right? Then coming to the Indian version of the multidimensional poverty index, the Niti Aayog publishes the national multidimensional poverty index, and it has published till now two editions of national MPI. Okay, but the Indian version is a little different. It has two additional indicators. Under the health, it has also the maternal health, which is taken into account, and under the living standards, bank account is an additional indicator in case of India. Right. So Indian MPI has those additional indicators, two additional indicators, keeping the Indian context into view. Okay, keeping Indian context into account. Then now comes an important question, that how is MPI calculated and who is identified as MPI poor. So if a person is deprived in 3 or more out of 10 indicators, then that person is called as MPI poor. Okay, and then coming to the numbers, that this MPI has helped us helped us put down the poverty levels from 29.17% in 2013-14 to 11.2% in 2022-23. Now the poverty level is 11.28%. Okay, and thus 25 crore people are out of the poverty during this period. And Uttar Pradesh has topped the list with 5 crore people 5.9, 6 crore people escaping poverty in that state, then followed by Bihar, right? And how were the data for the 2013-14 and 2022-23 arrived at? It takes into account the NFHS data. Okay, and we all know NFHS comes out with its data every 5 years, and the last round was in 2019-21 period. So the latest national MPI is based on this NFHS 5, which referred to 2019-21 period. Okay, please remember this fact that the MPI takes into account the NFHS data. Then the second article is about that why Mark Zuckerberg has apologized to the parents of young social media users. So why this is a news? Because the CEOs of global tech giants like Meta, X, TikTok and Discord, they all attended a US Senate hearing on the company's failures in protecting the kids online. So here comes the dangers which the children are facing online, from the content that is encouraging them harmful body standards to prevalence of material related to child abuse. So we all know that how the social media is not taking enough safeguards in order to protect the kids online, and this is manifested in various ways. This is manifested in form of sexual predators, in form of content that is leading to the thoughts of suicide in the kids. It is leading to eating disorders, for example, anorexia, where children they are going into deprived food method in order to meet the unrealistic beauty standards. According to National Commission for Protection of Child Rights survey, 37% of the 10-year-old children they have already Facebook accounts, despite the social media having age limit prohibiting account creation. So enough safeguards are not been instituted. Again, in this context, you remember the Blue Whale Challenge that happened in 2017, where the participants they were given daily tasks, starting from harmless tasks, then escalating to self-harm, and then ultimately suicide. That was happening on the 50th day. Then, if you remember the Cambridge Analytica case, where the Facebook let about 87 million users information be shared with the others, be shared with the third party connected to the Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, which raised concerns about the privacy and the potential manipulation of individuals' information for political purposes. So these examples, these manifestations are very much highlighting the dangers of social media. Okay, and that is why Mark Zuckerberg has apologized for all the negligence on the part of the social media not taking enough safeguards to protect the kids online, right? So this article is about this context only. See, the discussion on this particular article was because that this information you can use while writing your answers for GS paper 3, where role of social media is mentioned in your syllabus. Again, you can write these content, these examples, these manifestations which we discussed in the challenges that the children are facing. Okay, so such questions can be answered by using these case studies. And again, you can use this information in the essay writing, where topics like social media is inherently a selfish medium. Okay, this social media is inherently a selfish medium is a previous year question. So in these topics, in these questions, you can use this information. For that reason, this was discussed. Then the third article is about the Punjab's drone Didis. So this drone Didi scheme was announced by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the Independence Day, and was also highlighted in this year's interim budget that 500 crore rupees will be allotted to this scheme, where government will be providing drones to 15,000 women SHGs who will be providing rental services to the farmers for spraying pesticides and fertilizers on their farmlands. So in this context, we have a case study over here of Kiranpal, who is now a trained drone pilot. And this story, you can use this as an anecdote in your essay writing, where you have a chance to write about women empowerment, especially empowering rural women. So let's now go through the story. So here, now a trained drone pilot, Kiranpal, she is from Shekha village in Punjab's Barnala district. She describes the feeling when she successfully flew a drone for the first time. She describes the feeling as a little part of the world which I owned and controlled in my hands. And she says that I have never traveled in a plane, but it felt like I was flying one. It gave me confidence that I could achieve anything. It was all in my hands. And this has been said by Kiranpal, who just studied until 10th standard. For Kiranpal, the journey was not easy. Her husband is a construction worker who earns around rupees 500 to 700 a day, and she herself had been earning around 3000 rupees a month from selling homemade pickles through a self-help. Nearly a month ago, she left her village for the training center in Gurgaon's Manesar along with her 3-month-old child. This is one struggle. Second struggle is that when she reached the training center, she realized that everything was in English, including the theory classes and the notes they provided. And she was only a 10th pass to understand them all. And it was almost like 18 years since then that she was touching books again. She also spoke about the third struggle, that questions were raised about whether she would have to compromise on her motherly duties. But things changed. After she got back from the training, she was a pride. Having become a drone pilot, there was a massive sense of pride, and now the word pilot seems like a trophy that she has earned in her life. Okay, so this story of Kiranpal, who is a woman from a small village in Punjab, describing her journey to become a drone pilot despite the challenges she is facing. Despite the challenges like language barriers, initial doubts, but she persevered. She showed her dedication, and now she feels immense pride in her accomplishment. And now flying a drone gave her a sense of control and confidence, something she never experienced before. So this story on Crux highlights the power of determination over here, highlights the power of perseverance, highlights the power of dedication, and how she has broke all barriers to achieve the success. Right? So this can be used as an anecdote where you have to showcase these values. Again, it can be also used as an example in your society answers, where you want to highlight that how women, they are facing the dual burden. That is, she has to take care of her career while not neglecting her household and children. And also how women like Kiranpal have been championing it through time and space. Okay, so here I want to emphasize that you need to show the struggle which the woman is undergoing and how the woman is overcoming those struggles. So that's how the anecdote or the example will become comprehensive. Right? So you can use this in your essay writing or your GS answers. That is why it was discussed. Okay, so the short notes of this video discussion will be provided in our Telegram channel, that is Kalamais Academy. Do join our channel. The link for joining our channel will be provided in the description box. Okay, until then, goodbye, take care, thank you so much.